The council will please come to order. We'd all please rise. We'll be led in prayer by Alderwoman Sheila Hayes.
Be God, we ask for your blessing upon the members of this council as we assemble here in this chamber to conduct the ongoing business of our city. With your guidance, we will strive to ensure that all our decisions are for the common good, and your inspiration will instill respect, compassion, and thoughtfulness in all our deliberations. Give us the strength and wisdom to lead by example as the people's representatives, and that peace and harmony will mark all our proceedings and keep us faithful to the trust placed in us by the citizens of your community. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Alderman Betancourt, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wasn't expecting it.
Adoption of the minutes, June 3rd, 10th, 17th, and of 2024.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask for a motion for the adoption of the minutes as referred, June 3rd, June 10th, and the 17th. Is there such a motion, please? Alderwoman Gould, the second, please. Alderman Singh. Seeing no discussion, roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Betancourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The motion is adopted 7-0.
Petitions and communications, number 1, Initial Aquatic Center Feasibility and Sustainability Study.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask for a motion that this be received. Alderman Singh, second. Alderwoman Sheila Hayes. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Nash? Yes. Alderwoman Hayes? Yes. Alderman Betancourt? Yes. Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia? Yes. Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. The motion to receive is adopted 7-0.
City Manager's report.
Thank you. This is the City Manager's report for July 1st, 2024. Meetings attended were Southeastern Council of Governments Executive Committee meeting, Connecticut Interlocal Risk Management Agency Investment Committee, NPU City Coordination Meeting, NCDC Board of Directors meeting, DEEP meeting regarding Fitchville Pond Dam, and City Department Head meeting. I also attended the Connecticut Main Street presentation held at the newly opened Hotel Calista, where Norwich Community Development Corporation, along with the city planner Dan Daninsky, received a certificate of completion for their participation in the Connecticut Main Street Accelerator Program. City officials attended site walk of 8 locations of the Yantic River flooding areas with regional planners. The Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments and the Connecticut Institute for Resilience and Climate Action at the University of Connecticut is working to create a flood mitigation plan for the city. July tax bills are now due and payments can be paid until August 1st without interest. The tax office is open Monday through Friday and no appointment is needed. Payments can be paid in person, online, or through the mail, or at the 2 Norwich locations of M&T Bank during the month of July. Congratulations to Brian Long, who has been selected as Director of Public Works to succeed retiring Director Pat McLaughlin. Brian was hired in July of 2019 as City Engineer for the city. He formerly served as Director of Public Works for the town of Waterford. Brian received a Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering from the University of Hartford. Thank you to the Rose Arts Festival Committee, sponsors, and volunteers for this past weekend's festivities. Special thanks to city departments and especially Public Works for the extra resources provided for the event. The Fireworks Festival will be held on First Friday, July 5th, with a rain date of July 8th. Activities include music and food starting at 5 p.m. and fireworks around 9 p.m. Thank you to Norwich events organizations and sponsors for keeping this tradition going. The summer concert series starts July 10th with Rock the Docks at Brown Park and Friday night acoustics at the Norwich Town Green on July 12th. Concerts will be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Again, thank you to Greater Norwich Area Chamber of Commerce and sponsors. The Norwich Farmers Market starts Wednesday, July 10th, and will run through October 30th at Brown Park from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Finally, attached is the Treasurer's Report for the quarter ending March 31st, 2024. That completes my report for this evening.
Thank you, John. The comments or questions at this time? City Manager? Seeing none, move forward, please.
Old business resolutions, number 1, relative to the reallocation of funding in the Capital Improvement Fund.
Thank you. This time, I'd ask for a motion to bring this to the floor, please. Oh, President Pro Tem DeLucia, is there a second, please? Alderman Singh, thank you. Is there discussion?
Mayor.
Pro Tem, please.
So the members of council have been provided with a memo that says old business number 1 relative to resolution of funding in the capital improvement fund. This memo, and this outlines the changes that were subjects of concern and the reason why we postponed action on this resolution to tonight. So I'd offer that amendment.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Singh. Just for clarity, you're referring to the handout that the comptroller and the city manager put together, so you're referring to Section 1 reallocations from projects as Amendment 1?
Yes.
Okay, does everyone in agreement with that on the council? It's this document, Section 1 at the top is considered Amendment 1 at this time, or A. We should classify it as A. I think that makes more sense. Okay, is there discussion on Section Amendment A at this time? Yes.
Just because it listed as Section 1 on the document, so probably should leave it, the reference to that to reduce any confusion. But but that's all. I don't have any comment on the amendment itself.
Okay, is there further discussion at this time? This language is a reference to TAFL, and it's replacing an AED. The original reallocation amount was $5,685. There's a proposed change, a reduction of $3,218.99, and it's been determined by the comptroller's office that the remaining balance is adequate to complete that allocation. Okay. And then there's a public works line item in this as well. It's a reference to the Little Plains Park fence rehab. If you've been through that area of Norwich, you've noticed that the restoration has been completed of that around Little Plains Park. They need an additional $170.52. So that's been addressed here. And then the city manager on capital contingency, the original reallocation amount was $0. The proposed change is $3,048.47. So that would be put in that capital contingency. Is there any further questions or discussion? Yes, President Pro Tem.
It's a procedural question. So this amendment is now being offered up. I'd like to divide the question, so I don't know if we need to accept the amendment or divide it first.
Council.
I think you can add this by an amendment and then divide the amendment, divide it so you're voting on the 2 items or 3 items independently. Otherwise, if you do it, I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter which way you do it, but I would think it would be easier to adopt the amendment and then move to separate them so you consider the items individually.
Okay, so
question?
Certainly,
My
yes,
colleague.
Alderman Bettencourt has a question.
So I'm a little confused here. So the three items here, I don't think are in dispute. So I don't think there is any need to divide section 1 personally. So we could vote on section 1 en masse and then deal with the other amendments and divide those as necessary.
Does
that make sense?
Permit any alderman to move to divide the question, but I guess, I'm not sure what the division would be, is probably where the concern
Yeah,
is.
you'd have to state that, so.
Well, the initial motion is a motion to divide, and we're dealing with those three items I placed on the public record. Should perhaps we dispense with that initial motion, and then we can keep going?
He made it, so.
I understand, but he had a second, too.
You don't need a second, any by rule, and
You're correct, but we could be sitting here at length. There's been opposition to division of this small portion expressed by one member. I personally don't see the need for it either, if we're talking about the motion to divide. I don't know where the votes would fall. This was not discussed with us.
I think the issue is that the whole thing was not submitted. If the whole thing was submitted as one piece, then it would be probably necessary to divide. I mean, my opinion. But if...
The only thing that's before
talking
us
about section 1.
is section 1.
Right.
Section 2 is not before us as far as old business 1, and we are not even dealing with the others yet. They're still here. What is the pleasure of council? Alderman Singh.
I don't see any, issues with section 1, just if we are talking about section 1 itself. But yeah, I know it's a little confusing, It would be a lot more cleaner if it was just divided separately, but...
Normally, I understand your concern. I think this was an attempt by our staff to assist us, to move the items to us, and address each alderman who had a concern or who wanted to address a particular issue that would be brought tonight. This was just the method in which they presented it.
Okay.
We asked Pro Tem how he wants to proceed here.
So I would like to see it divided as, by section, it's the numbering that's confusing, but not by individual line items in the grids, but section, well, let's call it this way, right? So the city manager proposed amendments, section 1 reallocations from projects. I'd like us to vote on that. Then section 2, Republican caucus proposed amendments. Okay, I'd like us to vote on that, so that would be a division. And then, under Democratic caucus proposed amendments, section 1, and then I'd like us to vote on that separately, and then, or that would be a division, and then section 2.
That is what's proposed. I only asked for a motion to consider section 1 at the top. I did not ask to include the others that you just outlined. They're not before us at this time. They will be treated separately. I mean, that was the intent.
Okay, then motion to divide and deal with, so the motion to divide, do we need to vote on that?
If you requested a motion, you have every right to expect a vote on it. or you could withdraw it since the outcome is exactly what you hope for, separate votes on each item. Your judgment. Alderman Singh, your hand's up.
Might be useful to just withdraw it at this point and just vote on just section 1, city manager proposed amendment, section 1.
Are you withdrawing your second?
Well, he has to withdraw the motion first.
Oh, the maker, I'm sorry, the maker makes the withdrawal request first, followed by those who made the second.
Sorry, what do you need from me?
If you withdraw your motion to divide, Singh can withdraw his motion to second, and we can vote on this first issue separately as you hope for it. And each of them will be a separate vote. They've only been requested individually. That's why I refer to this as Amendment A.
Okay, then I'll withdraw that motion.
Well, second.
Thank you. The motion to divide and second has been withdrawn. What is before us is a vote on Section 1, which is designated Amendment A for Old Business 1. Is there further discussion? Alderwoman Hayes, please.
So if I could request for clarification, we use the title, City Manager Proposed Amendment. Because there's reference to section 1 several times. So it's to be clear, for clarity.
Yes, this is the manager's request.
Request, okay.
Yes. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, then a roll call, please, on Amendment A only.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes,
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The vote on Amendment A of Old Business 1 is adopted, 7-0.
2 minutes, second.
Please.
The second one is Republican Caucus Proposed Amendments. This proposed amendment reduces the allocation for the Norwich Fire Department replacement of Squad A and restores $51,661.57 funding towards the replacement of Taffville Fire Department kitchen suppression system. Section 2, reallocations to projects. Norwich Fire Department, replace Squad A, $347,985.06. Proposed change minus $51,661.57. Proposed reallocation amount $296,323.49. Taffville, replace kitchen suppression system. Original allocation 0. Proposed change $51,661.57. Proposed reallocation amount, $51,661.57.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to bring this to the floor and to be designated as Amendment B to Old Business 1. Is there such a motion, please? Alderman Nash, second Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? President Pro Tem.
I'd like an explanation as to what this actually is, what this money would actually pay for, and
thank you.
more importantly, if it's a $52,000 deduct from Squad A and we have a budget number for Squad A at $1.2 million, then this will be short of that $1.2 million, or it will contribute to a shortage, and how is that shortage going to be made up? So that might be two different people that have to answer those two questions.
Well, first of all, the kitchen suppression system is for a fire suppression system in a city-owned building in Taffville. And I find it odd that we would want to have a city-owned building of a volunteer fire department not in compliance with the fire code. That seems really strange to me. You can quibble about the amounts, but the bottom line is there was a finding, I believe, by the city's fire marshal office that this was a needed repair. It has been put off for several years, as other capital needs have been put off. Again, not to go too deep into truck purchasing, but truck purchasing design takes several years. If there's a small shortfall, it certainly is within the wherewithal of the city council in next year's budget to make up that in the capital. There's no emergency at this time. There's no bid. We don't even know what the truck's going to cost. The expectation of $1.2 million is just that. It's an expectation. I don't know if that completely answers your question, but it does outline the issue. We have a city-owned building. It's a building for a volunteer fire department that serves this city with honor and distinction, and it's being proposed not to have it in compliance with the fire code. The irony of that, I don't think, is lost on anyone, that we would sit here and debate whether it should be done or not. I find that actually appalling, that we're taking a stand like that, or some members would like to do that. Again, the fire marshal's office said it was necessary, and that's why we're here, just simply trying to address that. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. So this is the same suppression system that we've been talking about, as you said, for months. It's actually longer than that. It's actually years, since it was cited by the previous fire chief as the fire marshal. But we did hear from the current fire chief that this is a suppression system that is required if this particular department, or it would be required if any department was going to be cooking for the general public. So that was why it was assigned a lower priority, because, as you said, this and every one of our volunteer departments provides a service, but this is not directly related to the service that they provide. And if we need that reclarified, fortunately for us, the fire chief, who is the fire marshal, is here to clarify that. If we could maybe ask for his expertise, because it's also the name of the project description is different than what we have seen in the capital, or what we did see in the capital budget. So that maybe that is where the hiccup in my mind is coming from. So if we could ask the chief for any clarification he could give us, that would probably be helpful.
Chief, please identify yourself as usual. Thank you.
Good evening, Chief Montoya, City of Norwich Fire Chief and Fire Marshal. As was referenced, the code violation is not exactly a code violation. It depends on the use of the appliance. So as was mentioned, if the stove and the hood are used for members and not the general public, it is compliant. It's when it steps outside of those bounds that it doesn't meet the proper requirement for the type of hood, which would require a suppression system. So that was clarified in an email to the council and to yourself, sir, with the citing of the IMC, the International Mechanical Code, which referenced that.
While the chief is with us, do you have other concerns, questions, Pro Tem?
Well, I was just going to ask one more question, and then I would welcome any member to ask.
You have the floor.
Yeah. So, and with regard to the $1.2 million for Squad A, it is a ballpark number, but it wasn't one that was pulled from the thin air. As I understand it, you interacted with the vendors to get us close to a number that would it would take to fund
Yes,
that
sir.
piece of apparatus.
That's correct. The truck committee, along with input from fleet maintenance and the vendors, did as best they can without actually sending out a spec and getting actual bids back of putting as close to the correct figure on that, for these purposes. But yes, that was done.
So, just to follow up on that, that's a number that's based on if we ordered it in this model year or ordered it sometime in the next 90 days, or I'm sure that's got an expiration or a shelf life, right, that estimate?
Yeah, I wouldn't know what that time frame would be, whether it's 30, 60, 90 days, 180 days, but as we know, the prices have increased dramatically over the years, even recent years, even from last year's request for a Squad A replacement to this year. So I firmly believe that any hesitation or duration of time will add to that price.
Okay, I don't have any more questions for the chief.
Thank you. Other members, Alderwoman Gould, please.
Chief Montoya, do we pay for the fire truck up front?
That's a good question. Maybe the comptroller can ask how purchasing works.
We would not pay for the truck up front, but we would have to have the funds appropriated in order to enter into a contract to purchase the equipment.
And how long would that take?
To get into
So
a
if
contract?
if we sign this contract this afternoon, delivery of the truck comes in 1, 2, 3 years?
It could be, up to 2 years, right?
To find the $52,000 someplace else?
Well, before we enter into the contract, we got to have the funds appropriated before we, sign that contract. So we'd have to find if we were short $51,000, we'd have to find the $51,000 before we entered into the contract.
And
Alderwoman Gould.
I just want to add too that as timing goes, just this morning I received an email from one of the vendors that they have some trucks available for immediate delivery. Whether that email from MES, from the vendor, has a truck that meets our specs, so it's kind of speculation to say whether it would be 6 months from order to 2 years.
You have the floor.
Thank you. In the fire study, it was a recommendation that we replace Squad A with Engine 3. So why are we replacing Squad A?
You'd have to ask the people that made that recommendation. I don't know their line of thought there.
Okay, so, but I'm just looking at the fire study. Number 3, priority 3 was replace Squad A with Engine 3. Squad A is currently the main fire apparatus for District 1 with almost 20, and is almost 20 years old. So it says replace Squad A with Engine 3, and then it goes on further. I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry, that, Engine 3 where Squad A becomes the old Engine 4, and there's a shuffling around, but this doesn't say anything about buying any new fire apparatus. It's more of a shuffling of the present apparatus that we have. There's no recommendation here to buy a new truck.
Basing my input on the recommendations from the study or not. I'm basing my input on the needs of the city.
So having a city-owned building with a fire suppression system that doesn't meet the needs of the Taffville community. So there's no more Boy Scouts meeting at Taffville and having something to eat, no more Relay for Life, no more Girl Scouts, no more anybody eating at the Taftville Fire Department, because it doesn't meet the needs for non-members, and I'm a little confused why it's okay for members and not for non-members to eat there. That's just beyond my understanding, the why it would be okay if person X is there, but if person Y is eating there, it's not okay. But I'm sure at the senior center, we have a fire suppression system, whether you're a member eating there or you're a guest of a member eating there.
The code doesn't address who eats there, and people do eat at Taftville Firehouse for their pancake breakfast. What they do is they prepare the food that can't be prepared under the hood outside. So there's nothing stopping the Scouts, the Girl Scouts, movie night, any other event from eating in the Taftville Firehouse. It's a matter of food preparation.
So the food preparation cannot go on in Taftville for the Girl Scouts inside the building.
If it doesn't meet the requirement of the code, that is correct.
But would we have the senior center not meet code? It meets code for the senior center members, but if they bring a guest, it doesn't meet code. I don't understand the difference between a member and a non-member when we're talking about a city building being able to provide food for people who want to use the building.
I'm not sure of the question, what the difference between a member and the general public is.
Yes, so if you're a member of the senior center and you go there for lunch, this fire suppression system has one code, but if you're a guest at the senior center and not a member, it has a different set of rules?
Yes.
So are we checking to make sure that every person who eats lunch at the senior center is a member of the senior center?
Does the senior center have a compliant hood?
I hope so.
Yes, they do. They have a membership they maintain.
Okay. Do they have a type 1 hood required to serve the public?
I can't answer that.
Neither can I on the spot. I haven't inspected that building. But if they do, that's the difference. You're using you as an example, if I may, ma'am. You're a member of East Great Plain. You go there and you guys have dinner and you're fine. That's not a good example because you guys are already compliant. But if you weren't and you did that, that would be okay. But when you open the doors to the public for a fundraiser or other general public event, you have to have a compliant hood to prepare those meals. It's not my rule, it's International Mechanical Code. I can't answer to the reason.
I understand that. I'm just trying to wrap my head around if we have a compliant hood at this, if we didn't have a compliant hood at the senior center.
I'm sure they would have been cited for it.
Oh, I'm not saying that they wouldn't, but if their members come in to have lunch, they can eat there, but if they bring a guest, they can't?
I don't know the definition of membership at the senior center versus a volunteer firehouse. I can't answer that.
All I know is that the Taftville Firehouse has served as a pseudo-community center for the village of Taftville. And the fact that we don't want them to be able to use the building for people who are outside their membership and be able to serve food inside the building. It's inclement weather, it's a special event, they've rented the hall. It sort of just irks me that we have a city building that we wouldn't want to be 100% compliant so that anybody could go in that building, eat a meal.
I don't think anyone, well, I'm not going to speak for anyone, I'll speak for myself. It's not that I don't want them to be compliant, it's a matter of priorities. I think you've heard the priority word spread around, so you're implying that we don't want Taftville to be compliant or to be able to serve their community. I mean, we've heard the mayor's word with honor and distinction. Well, the city fire department serves with honor and distinction too, but we have a very old fire truck in need of replacement, and we're focusing on a hood that serves the general public versus its membership.
It's a city-owned building, and we don't have a community center.
It's a city-owned firehouse, not a community center. It's nice that it serves a number of roles in the community, but the hood is not compliant for general public service. I don't know what else to say.
It's disappointing, that's all.
Thank you. Is there further questions of the chief while he's up here? Pro Tem, please.
Thank you. So I'd like to circle back around to the fire study and with regard to the apparatus and headquarters, Chief.
Sir?
So first of all, I would just like to point out that the fire study was adopted by this council, or received, I should say, from the consultant in February of 2021. So we're quite a ways down the road with our apparatus since then. But nonetheless, if you look at the page and the recommendations for NFD apparatus, it actually says replace Squad A with a medical utility vehicle. For those of us that are old enough, remember the TV show Engine 51, right? A one-ton cabin chassis with a utility body on it that responded to all medical calls, right? That's what the recommendation was. We have not done that, and it is my understanding that if we were to do that, we could, if we were to follow that recommendation, Squad A, the fire truck, the engine pumper would be decommissioned and be replaced by this vehicle at a cost of, let's say, $600,000. Is that fair in terms of the money piece? No.
I think that's probably a fair amount. I don't know exact specs, but a rescue response vehicle, you could look at what TAFL paid for Rescue 2 5 years ago, add some inflation to that and needs for the equipment and stuff, but a non-pumper rescue response EMS vehicle would probably run in the $600,000 range, guess, without running specs.
And then the two recommendations down with regard to the apparatus as to replace Squad A with Engine 3. So following the study, we'd be buying the $600,000 medical response vehicle, and then we would still be buying, we would still be replacing Squad A with Engine 3. So Engine 3 would take over Squad A's duties.
That was, again, my understanding of part of the recommendation was to move the newest engine that Norwich Fire had in inventory to replace the oldest frontline piece, which was Engine 3 replacing Squad A.
So, and I know that I asked this question before, so I'll ask it again so that everybody hears the answer, right? So right now, we have Squad A and engine pumper, Engine 3 and engine pumper, Engine 4 and engine pumper in headquarters.
Engine 4 is in Greenville as a spare piece. The two pumpers at headquarters are Engine 3 and Squad A. Greenville has Engine 2 staffed, and Engine 4 is a spare piece.
Okay. So, right, but so if Engine 2 stays in Greenville, we have 3 other engine pumpers in the CCD. Squad A, Engine 3, Engine 4.
Apparatus inventory-wise, yes.
Yeah, that's all I'm talking about. Okay. Are any one of those 3 pieces in the kind of condition where they could serve as you have described in this very room, as the primary engine pumper response vehicle in the entire city of Norwich?
Any of them can serve in the capacity, but not to the full extent because of the equipment and the compartments on Squad A, which is why it's a rescue pumper, not just a pumper. But Engine 4 frequently goes in service as a frontline piece whenever Engine 2, 3, or Squad A are out of service.
So I guess the point I'm driving at is it was my understanding through all of these conversations that we've had at public safety meetings in this very council chambers, individual conversations between the members of public safety and yourself, right, that pretty much no matter how you slice it, we need, at this point, some 2.5 plus 3 years down the road from the study, we are in the position where we need a new engine pumper in the CCD.
Yes.
Okay. And is it accurate for me to say that prior to the latest strife amongst the members, not the members, but the leadership of the fire service in the city, that when we bought the $3.2 million worth of apparatus back 2017, right, thereabouts, right? Okay,
19?
yeah, 19, that it was the consensus of the group that after we bought those purchases, or I'm sorry, bought those apparatus, that Squad A or an engine pumper it really needed to be the next piece replaced.
Yes, and even more recently when the chiefs meetings were happening with the city manager, he can attest to the fact that all of us in the room agreed that Squad A was the next apparatus to be replaced because of needs.
And it really doesn't matter if we call it Squad A, or if we call it Engine 3, or if we call it EIEIO, for, really, right? It doesn't matter what the designation is, because that has more to do with tradition, really, than most other topics, right? Okay, whether it's called Squad A, it doesn't change its capabilities. That's based on its spec, right? So it doesn't matter what we call this thing. It's the need for that type of apparatus, a new apparatus of that type, I guess, better put. So we're really, so if we were to follow study and we decommission engine 4 as it recommends, okay, and we forego the fact that we don't want to, spending $600,000 on a medical response vehicle, but we do replace an engine pumper, that we are not only following the study based, as best we can, based on the current need versus the 2021 need, and we are doing what is best for the overall fire service in terms of their apparatus needs.
I believe so.
So this is really not a matter of whether or not we need this piece of apparatus. It's a matter of the need exists. It's not like, oh, well, this is a nice to have, right? And so let's do it because we can find the money. We can cobble together the money, so let's do it. That's not the situation at all. This is a need to have. We are in a position where we need to buy a new engine pumper.
I think the need has been emphasized through the data and through my responses to the council, through the call volume, the types of calls, the equipment carried, the response. Even after we met last time, my follow-up to you cited the most recent fire on Watercress Avenue, where without 3 engines, 3 pumpers in the city, we more than likely, and I don't like to say that as a fire guy because we don't want to jinx ourselves, but we more than likely lose an additional residence as well as potentially one more. But having that 3rd engine, that 3rd pumper, that capacity, that particular night made the difference. So it's not a want, it's a need. It is a critical piece to the fire service of Norwich. Again, that's been demonstrated again and again through data. It's 25 years old now? Should we put antique plates on it? 100,000 plus miles on it, an engine rebuild. It has served its time. It is a need.
So let's say hypothetically that engine 4 gets decommissioned and a new engine pumper replaces an existing engine pumper, whether it be Squad A or Engine 3. Essentially, the city would be taking 2 pieces out of commission and replacing it with 1.
Correct.
Well, I recall that the last time that happened was in the 2019 purchase, and we all, those of us who were on the council and on the Public Safety Committee at the time, literally carried that chief around on our shoulders for being so fiscally responsible. But yet, as we do it here, we suffer the slings and arrows. So I'm having trouble with that. I don't need a response from you as a chief of the fire department, but it really feels that way to me. And I guess that's more oratory than anything else. I don't have any more questions for the chief. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members of council, Alderman Nash, your hand was up.
Chief, is it the city's only 3 pumpers? There's no other pumpers in the city?
One more time?
The pumpers, you just mentioned 3 pumpers. Those are the only 3 that the entire city of Norwich possesses?
No, the city of Norwich owns a number of pumpers, if you include the
So it's
volunteer
not just
department.
those 3? There's
Those are
more?
the 3 for the city department.
Okay, but there are others in the city that the department can use, if the need was required?
Define use. I mean, we've borrowed an engine
Have 3
from
pumpers,
Niantic.
sir, and you need a 4th pumper. Is there a 4th pumper available for you to get?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if Squad A breaks down and you don't have that pumper anymore, is there another pumper in the city that you can get?
Yes, we've borrowed engines from EGP and from Niantic in the past.
Thank you, sir. That's all I needed. Thank you.
Thank you. So another member's hand. Alderman Bencourt, please.
I actually have a question about the proposal. So I just wanted to know where the number came from, and then, who would actually do the project? I mean, I figure it's got to go out to bid, but who's going to manage the project, I should say? That might be more of a question for the city manager. So.
That valued amount was in the original capital needs reallocation provided by the comptroller and the city manager. You're correct on that. They provided that number. Since that, in discussions with the comptroller I had this afternoon, there may in fact be $56,565 remaining in that line item, which is going to be taken up perhaps in a following amendment. But they provided, in this case, both of these figures now. And you're correct, if the work had already begun, I assume there's a purchase order. If the work needs to go out to bid, then that would be the normal process. While I'm on that subject, the discussion earlier was if the funds are all in place tonight, you could go sign a contract. I contend, no, you cannot. You need to go out to bid.
Who's managing
We're
the
not skipping that
project? That's
process.
the question, who's managing the...
I can't answer that. Perhaps the comptroller can assist, or the city manager if
What
he...
was the question?
Who would be managing the project?
The managing of the process would be the same as any equipment purchase. The specs would be drawn up jointly by the requesting department and the purchasing agent. The purchasing agent would manage the bidding of the process, writing the specs with obviously input from the user department, and we would manage the bid process. So pretty much it's managed centrally like every other project that's
I mean,
bid.
would Public Works be managing it, or, I mean, who's
No,
physically?
Public Works would go through purchasing also. So everything goes through purchasing. Of course, Public Works would have much to say about what the specs was if it was a snowplow type of purchase. Also, the head mechanic, supervisor superintendent would have input, and he might also have input on the fire apparatus.
Okay. I'm fine.
You have the floor, sir.
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Singh?
Thank you. Just a quick question. I don't disagree on the need, but my question is on the amount. So we agreed upon like we need 1.2 million, right? Is there a probability it might cost us even more than that? Or is that a healthy number?
I think they were as close as they could be and realistic. And we certainly don't want to come in with a price and then come back in a week, a month, a year and say it's not enough. So I believe they took that into consideration, as anyone does when they give you an informal bid, if you will.
And how many months it will take to get that actual number that we're gonna pay them? So we know if it's, 1.2 or more than that, less than that?
What was the
The
question?
question is that when and how many months we will know the actual number, how much we're gonna pay for the truck?
I mean, when the.
With the bidding process?
That would be
like
when the bid was complete,
3 to 6 months or?
and, yeah, you're putting me on the spot here. I would say 3 to 6 months
Okay.
to do the spec, although a lot of the spec work has been done internally, but then now it has to go through the process of the purchasing agent, and he might consult with vendors also to get a price. So it could be, and by the time you advertise and then analyze the bids, you're talking 3 to 6 months, I would say, Chief, something of that nature. On the low side, 3 months, high side, 6 months.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions of the chief at this time? Chief, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
It's been stated by yourself at Public Safety and at previous council meetings, the status of Engine 4. Should this come to pass and the funds are set aside for Squad A replacement, is it your intention to decommission Engine 4 when that new truck comes in service?
If we're going to maintain a spare apparatus in the city, I would let fleet maintenance recommendation on whether that's Squad A or Engine 4. If we do, as we discussed earlier, and trade 2 for 1, Engine 4 can be decommissioned, as long as there is a plan for replacement for any time another engine's out of service. So if Squad A is kept, the current Squad A is kept as a spare piece, Engine 4 is not needed. If Squad A is determined not to be serviceable as a spare piece, and Engine 4, which is 6 years older than the current Squad A, is no longer serviceable, then both of them would go.
We've been discussing the fire study and aspects of it. The condition of Engine 41 out in Occam. You would decide based on the recommendations of the fleet maintenance, if they determined that Engine 41 was of a higher priority to be replaced than Truck 4, you would go along with that recommendation should Squad A be replaced?
If it was determined, or let me make sure I'm clear here, that Engine 41 was a higher priority than Engine 4? Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Also, I'd like you to comment on the fact that with the administrative agreement we now have with the volunteers and Central, I've got 2 questions. One, were the volunteers called in to the fire you cited down on Watercress, and were they available?
They were available and were eventually called in, but they weren't dispatched on initial dispatch.
Isn't the benefit of having an agreement like that to bring in that party sooner rather than later? Based on the neighborhood that you were in, the proximity, the closeness of homes, would that not have been a stronger response since they are here for that reason?
That is the exact intent of the purpose of the policy, for that to happen. And not going to put him on a spot, but that was a dispatch function that evening, and if Chief Daly wants to speak to it, he's welcome to, but that's no input from the firehouse. That was a dispatch error, that they did not start automatic aid based on the nature of the call. They took one call verbalizing the house across the street was on fire. All day long, that's an automatic aid call. Dispatch failed to start them. But yes, that's the purpose of the policy.
Thank you for putting that on the record. this is not a question, but this is my belief, is we put that policy into practice, the need for maintaining the number of vehicles in this city should demonstrate a reduction. Should it not?
Automatic aid and sharing of resources, yes, would logically lead to an overall reduction of need.
All right, thank you. Any other members need the chief while he's here? Thank you very much. Is there further discussion on the Amendment B that is before us at this time? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
No.
Alderman Bettencourt?
No.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
No.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
No?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Yes, Amendment B to Old Business 1 fails 3-4.
Third amendment, Democratic Caucus proposed amendments. This proposed amendment reduces the allocation for the Taftville Fire Department kitchen suppression system by $56,565 and uses this funding towards sidewalks in the Taftville area. Section 1, reallocations from projects. Taftville, replace kitchen suppression system, original reallocation amount 0. Proposed change, $56,565. Proposed reallocation amount, $56,565. Section 2 is also part of this. Section 2, reallocations to projects, Public Works, Taftville sidewalks, original reallocation amount 0. Proposed change, $56,565. Proposed reallocation amount, $56,565.
Thank you. A motion, please, to bring this, what we will designate as Amendment C, with everyone's agreement, Amendment C to the floor. So Amendment, President Pro Tem, is there a second, please? Alderman Singh, seconded. Is there discussion? President Pro Tem.
I'd just like to make a clarification, Mayor. I misspoke earlier when I said that when we discussed dividing, that I wanted to take these up separately. The clerk has stated it correctly. They should be taken up together.
Agreed? Yep. I think we all agree with that. Thank you. Is there discussion? Alderwoman Gould?
And I don't, there's no one here from Public Works. How many miles of sidewalk can we get for $56,000?
If I may, you won't get a mile, I will tell you that.
We won't even get a mile.
No, no. Depends on the width and what type of curbing and stuff, but certainly you're not going to get a mile. I can't tell you how many feet that equals. I could by tomorrow, but I can't give you tonight.
So what are we going to, we can do one section of sidewalk in Taftville?
Well, it is still significant.
Half a
funds to
mile,
get.
a quarter mile, a block?
I don't want to spend, it's probably like less than 500 feet. I'm trying to get my unit cost on that. It probably would be in that area. I could find out before the meeting's over if you so desire.
I'm just trying to justify 500 feet of sidewalk
Not even.
for a kitchen suppression system for the Taftville Fire Department. I don't know what, this is a city-owned building that is used as a community center, and why we're nickeling and diming Taftville, that they can't have a building that's up to code to meet the needs of their community. For 400 feet of sidewalk, 450 feet of sidewalk, 451 feet of sidewalk. It's unbelievable to me that we're talking about throwing barbs or whatever the term was used before. This hood suppression system needs to be completed so that Taftville can open their doors to their community and serve the community they're in. We don't have a community center. Taftville has been the community center, hosting all kinds of groups. So it won't support 500 feet of sidewalks in Taftville, because I think this hood suppression system, and if you ask the residents of Taftville, they'd probably tell you the same thing. They'd rather see the building be open to the public, for everyone to use for whatever event is going on there, than to get 400 feet of concrete sidewalks. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion on Amendment C at this time? Alderwoman Sheila Hayes, please.
So I'm asking, and I'm not, and maybe it's to the controller, because the way this amendment is written, it looks like it's adding the same amount. I don't see a reduction, even though it says reducing the allocation.
So,
Or where's the reduction from, maybe is what I'm asking.
so section 1 of the resolution is a list of reductions, and section 2 of the resolution is a list of additions. So these amendments refer to those two sections of the resolution. So in Amendment C here, the 56,565 is being reduced from the Taftville kitchen suppression system, and the same amount is being added to the Public Works Taftville sidewalks in section 2 of the resolution.
Okay, so in section 1, it says the original reallocation is 0. The proposed change is to add 56,565.
Right.
It's not a reduction if you're adding.
But, so that, it was not one of the things listed as a reduction before, so it's being added onto the list of reductions. So and I apologize to everyone up here. I tried to make this as clear as possible, and I'm not sure that I got that across. I think the mayor took a big step in saying that the first part is Amendment A, Amendment B, Amendment C. I think that helps, but I tried to keep this in line with the parts of the resolution. So section 1 is a list of reductions to existing projects, and section 2 is addition of funds to projects.
Okay, so you're saying this is reductions. It just doesn't read that way. I apologize. And so the first part is to reduce by 56,565. The second part is to increase.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
But Alderman Hayes, are you satisfied?
And I'm not getting into the issue of the Taftville Fire Department, whether it's a community center or not. It's really, though, for many years now, at least with the ARPA funds, when they became available, there was the constant mantra that we should be utilizing our schools as community centers. And that is what some of the community people have worked towards. So you have Waquanic School that sits there as well. That's also a city-owned building. So I don't understand why we're pitting or acting like there's only, I mean, Taftville, to me, is fortunate. They have 2 buildings there. There are many areas in the city that they don't have a city-owned building to even use as a community center. And we're not talking about how those areas are deprived. So I don't see where we're denying any group from utilizing any city building out in Taftville when you include the school as a community resource. And it has a kitchen if food had to be available. It has a cafeteria. It has gymnasium. It has a lot more. So I don't see where Taftville is being deprived as a community or as a section of the city. I would be having that argument with other sections of the city who are clearly deprived of community centers.
Thank you. President Pro Tem, please.
Just two quick things. First of all, I will tell you that I got more emails and more phone calls about the sidewalks in Taftville, especially when the folks that live in that area saw the community block grant allocations that we took up either the last meeting or the meeting before, I forget, and the fact that the sidewalk projects in Taftville were not funded at all by CBGD. So this was, and to give credit where credit's due, this was Alderman Betancourt's idea to at least do something with the sidewalks, but I definitely heard more about the sidewalks than I did about the fire suppression system at the Taftville Firehouse. On that point, this is not really about the Taftville Firehouse, but it's about the money, okay? And if you look through if you look as closely as I did at the capital side of the budget with regard to this project and total up the 4 different funding sources, this project was going to cost $208,000. Now, I was a Boy Scout. I have no problem with the civic organizations, all right? So I will tell you that supporting them is important. But $208,000 of capital money to essentially renovate a kitchen, I don't want to put too sharp of a point on that, but that's more than I paid for my whole house. So I'm sorry, but no, that just, in my mind, that was just not more important than the other items that we are choosing to fund through the reallocation of capital. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion on Amendment C at this time? Alderwoman Gould?
I would love to see the schools used as a community center, but the schools aren't open on Sunday or at 7 o'clock in the evening, and it is fairly expensive to rent the school. Taftville Fire Department doesn't charge the Boy Scouts anything, or the civic organizations anything, to use their facility. And I'm going to ask Josh to come up one more time. This $56,000, is this to get the project started or to get the project finished?
So the last estimate I had from Chief Jenks was a total of $153,000 for the kitchen suppression system. And that would have been made up of $38,732, which was originally allocated towards this project in March 2020 in a capital fund reallocation. And then $17,833 was added to it in the fiscal year 23 budget process. The April 2024 capital reallocation was going to add the $51,662 to it. And then the final piece of it was going to be funded in the fiscal year 2025 capital budget, $44,773. All of that altogether was adds up to $153,000.
So this would only be one piece, so a third of it is done? A third needs to be done, and then we budgeted another third for...
The project hasn't been started. I think
Okay.
that the chief was giving us updated estimates of the cost of the project as time went on and the costs went up. So I'm not sure how much the project could get done for $56,656.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Is there further, yes, city manager, please.
I don't have the unit cost, but I can tell you that we had a proposal in the budget last year to continue the sidewalk program, and I believe the request was $200,000. So 56,000 would be a quarter of that program. So it's a substantial portion, but I can't give you the exact linear feet of it. I did some contacts, but I haven't received anything back yet.
Thank you, John. Is there further discussion on Amendment C at this time? I'll add my 2 cents. Back in 2010, I paid for 60 feet of sidewalk. I paid $5,800. If you think you're getting a good amount of sidewalk for this amount of money, you're sadly mistaken. How many years ago was that? 14. It bothers me that it appears we're targeting the Taftville Fire Department here. And why we're doing that? Maybe their voice is a little louder than others, but that's clear to me. And just worse than that, we're now dividing the people of Taftville between supporting their volunteers or having sidewalks. I find this whole action to be demeaning, demoralizing, disrespectful, and I will be opposing it. Yes, Mr. Betancourt. Oh, excuse me, Alderman Betancourt.
I wasn't going to say anything about this, I was going to let it go, but look, let's brass tacks here, and I've told you this personally, and I'm not afraid to say it publicly. The Taftville Fire Department signed on to a letter threatening to sue us, well, threatening an action, putting the city manager's feet to the fire, if you will. I am not going to sign on to anything for that department other than what they need until such time as they renounce that letter, period. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a valid concern, and I know our city manager's working on that. And we should let him do what he's doing. Is there further discussion on Amendment C, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
What?
Alderwoman Hayes?
Pay attention.
Alderman Betancourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
No.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
No. The resolution is adopted 5-2. Old business, one resolution as amended by Amendment A, B, and C. Is there further discussion at this time? Roll call, please.
We have the second page.
That's old business too.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Betancourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
No. A resolution as amended is adopted. The vote is 6-1.
Number 2, relative to amendment of existing American Rescue Act allocation.
At this time, I'd ask for motion, please, to bring this to the floor. Alderman Singh, is there a second, please? Alderman Betancourt. Is there discussion? President Pro Tem.
So we heard some public comment at our last meeting, which really is what prompted us to postpone it to this meeting, postpone action on this to this meeting, only because of the fact that some valid concerns were raised, not just during public comment from the podium, but also by staff members, not the least of which was the former Director of Public Works. So we addressed those issues, namely the Browning Road, Walwick Street water extension, and the renovations to the senior center restrooms, restoring funding so that those projects would not be in any danger of running out of money. And so with those changes, what we see before us, I should say, what we see before us reflects those changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? We're calling Amendment A.
Old business resolution number 2, relative to amendment of existing American Rescue Plan Act allocations. City manager proposed amendments. These proposed amendments make corrections to amounts available to be reallocated in order to complete certain ARPA-funded projects. ARP 03, Browning Road and Walwick Street Water Extension, original reallocation minus $7,040, proposed change $7,040, proposed reallocation amount 0. ARP 07, employment support job training, original allocation minus $589.52, proposed change $665, proposed reallocation amount $1,252. ARP 19, neighborhood revitalization programs, $108,183.24. Proposed change $32,343.01. Proposed reallocation $140,526.25. ARP 21, Mohegan Park Playground, $4,415.57. Proposed change $4.99. Proposed reallocation $4,420.56. ARP 23, Mohegan Park Disc Golf, $10,715.03. Proposed change $5,973. Proposed reallocation amount $4,742.03. ARP 24, City Hall audio visual equipment, $23,394.82. Proposed change $10,000. Proposed reallocation amount $13,394.82. ARP 67, renovations to senior center restrooms, $47,486.84. Proposed change $10,000. Proposed reallocation $37,486.84. Total net change 0.
Thank you. Someone will care to move this as an amendment, please? Alderman Sheila Hayes, second, please. Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion on Amendment A as it's classified at this time? Seeing none, roll call on Amendment A.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes? Yes. Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes, on Amendment A. Amendment A is adopted 7-0. Old Business Resolution 2 as amended. Is there further discussion? I have a question then, if there's no other discussion, and I'll ask this question of our President Pro Tem. The fire study said we should not replace Squad A. This Old Business Resolution 2 allocates substantial dollars towards that purpose combined with the other one. Campaign filing report of April 10th of last year, there were three $1,500 union payments to the Democrat Election Committee, including Local 892. I'd like to know what the relationship is for those campaign donations and this action tonight to spend $1.2 million on a truck that the fire study that was demanded by the Democrats in this city said not to replace it. What's the relationship between those campaign donations, sir?
There's no relationship whatsoever. And I object, and frankly, I admonish you, Mayor, for accusing me on the floor of this council now for the second time that my vote can be bought on any issue. I assure you, it cannot. This is the right thing to do based on what we have heard from the fire chief's committee meetings, from the fire chief himself, and as closely follows the study as it applies to the Norwich Fire Service in the year 2024, some 2.5, nearly 3 years down the road from when this study was published. So your comments are completely out of order, and they're offensive, and they're beneath the office of the mayor. So, but I will respond. There is absolutely zero connection between any political contribution and where I stand on any issue. I have said to you in private, I have said to you publicly, and I have said to this community that I will make my decisions on my actions and vote according to what I believe in my heart is in the best interest of the city, first, foremost, and always. And if that prevents me from having any one person or any group of people support, then so be it. If that leads to my not being reelected, then so be it, because I lay my head on my pillow at night and I fall asleep in 5 minutes flat simply because of the fact that I know that I am doing what's right for the city. And I might have regrets and I might have goals that don't get reached, but I certainly do never have a crisis of conscience over any action I have taken in the nearly 8 years that I have been on this council.
Thank you. A simple yes or no would have sufficed, but you have the right to express yourself. I answer a simple question. I mean, this is a matter of public record. Anyone can look it up online. These are reports filed. They're open to the public for review. Your comment that this follows closely the report, it does not. The report says get rid of Squad A. It does not say replace it. I will be voting no on old business too. That should not come as a surprise. We should not be spending $1.2 million on a fire truck that the report that you demanded the taxpayers pay for, you forced that on the taxpayers, and now you only follow the wins that you consider a win, and then you use it as a means to attack others, namely the volunteers. So I'll be voting no on this. I sleep well at night too, because I'm going to defend the taxpayers of this city. They just got whacked over the head through our budget. They're getting whacked over the head because our schools are over budget and we haven't even broke ground yet. And now they're getting whacked again to buy a truck that the fire report that you demanded says do not replace. Alderman Bettencourt, please.
It actually says replace it with that medical unit, so.
Well,
you know.
that is true.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
let's not, let's not say that. But the truth of the matter is we certainly should, Squad A, you can call it Engine 3, Squad A, whatever, I don't really care. The fact of the matter is we need a piece of apparatus, a new piece of apparatus there. Squad A should either be a spare piece or retired. I'll leave that again to Public Works, to the garage, the good people down there. And we get an overall reduction. And since we're in the habit of asking questions, I know I've had discussions with the city manager regarding a comprehensive apparatus reduction plan, which would address some of these issues anyway. And I just want to make sure that as we go along, that that's a plan that you could support, Mayor. So
I do.
that's, and that's.
I look forward to the efforts the city manager is working on concerning the letter that was mentioned earlier, and that we can get everyone back to the table.
I certainly want that.
Thank you.
I think you know that.
I do. Is there further discussion? If not, roll call.
Alderman Nash?
No.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt? Yes. Alderwoman Gould?
No.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
No. Old business resolution 2 as amended is adopted 4-3.
Citizen comment on new business resolutions listed below.
Thank you. I declare citizen comment on new business resolutions open. As of this time, no one signed up the sheet, so the matter is open to members here in the public. Please identify yourself, and I will call on you. Anyone wishing to speak on new business resolutions at this time? Yes, Alderman. Sorry, yeah. Oh, once an alderman, always an alderman. Mrs. Philbrook.
Good evening. My name is Joanne Philbrick. I live at 10 Elm Avenue. I am hard of hearing. The city, a number of years ago, allocated money to buy hearing devices. They don't work. Useless. So I can't hear what you say. Sometimes that's a blessing. I'm going to say so, and I hope this evening, the citizens, the taxpayers of this municipality are allowed to comment on the resolutions where you appoint members to boards and commissions that are a wasteless entity. Some of them have not met in 2-3 years. That's all we get to speak on tonight. But I'm going to think outside the box. I have sat here for an hour and a half and listened to you all bitch and moan again about the same old crap. I got my tax bill today, as did many other people in this city. It's an embarrassment and it's disgusting. I'm 81 years old. I live on an income that is less than some of you make in a friggin' week. I am fed up. I demand accountability. I'm tired of the 4 of you against the 3 of them, whatever 3 or 4 it is. You don't have the best interests of the city at heart. If you did, you'd put these petty-ass disagreements behind you. Unfold your arms. That's disrespectful. I'm old, but I'm not stupid. If you have a city-owned building where you can have members prepare food, but not members of the public, and the building burns down, is the liability and the insurance good for some things, but not the others? You've lost the common sense. You've lost touch with reality. Nothing makes me sadder or angrier than listening to the BS that goes on in this city day after day, month after month, year after year, decade after decade. We are dying here, ladies and gentlemen. We are dying. If you can't see it, if you can't drive around the city and see the poverty, the filth, the degradation, the crime, then you don't belong sitting up where you're sitting. And your answer to everything, and when I say you, if the shoe fits, wear it. Your solution is throw more money, throw more money, throw more money. There is something wrong here. And I have said this to the assessor, I've said it to the tax collector, I've said it to the mayor, and I said it to the police chief. And you can take it however you want to take it. I would strongly recommend that you have an armed police officer in the city hall for the next month or 2, because there are people in the city that are pissed off like they have never been pissed off before. And you know what happens when people get angry? Stuff happens. That's a reality. I will not step foot in this building unless there's a police officer with a gun behind me. And I will not leave this building unless there's a police officer with a gun who takes me to my car, because I have been threatened. I have been threatened, but I will tell you, the thing that keeps me coming back here is that more people stop by my house and say, Joanne, thank you for having the balls, the spine, the spunk to get up and hold you accountable. Some of you don't even acknowledge me. That's all right. I don't like some of you either. I don't need your approval. But what you need to remember is that we put you in those seats and we can take you out. This is still our voice, our community, and you, every single one of you, works for us. You are accountable to us. I have said it to you many, many times. Help me to help you. And most of you ignore me. So I will close by saying, as I always say, it's better to have me as your advocate than your adversary, because I am like a pit bull. I will latch on to you, and it will not be pretty. So do what you want with your money, do what you want with all your fluff, but when people can't pay their taxes and you've got more empty buildings, great.
Thank you. Anyone else like to join us on citizen comment, please, at this time on the resolutions before us? Anyone else under citizen comment at this time? Anyone else under citizen comment at this time? Seeing no one else, I declare it closed. Thank you.
New business resolution number 1, relative to the appointment of a regular member to Greenville NRZ.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to bring this to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second, please. Alderman Mark Betancourt. Is there discussion? For the benefit of the public, the person being appointed as a regular member is Thomas Yours. Roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Betancourt? Yes. Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution adopted 7-0.
Number 2, relative to the reappointment of a regular member to the Commission on City Plan.
A motion, please, to bring this to the floor. Alderman Singh, second, Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Seeing none, the person being reappointed as a regular member is Dean Nason. A roll call, please.
Alderman Nash? Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Betancourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. Resolution 2 is adopted, 7-0.
Number 3, relative to appointment of regular member of Ethics Commission.
Thank you. Motion to bring to the floor, please. Alderman Mark Betancourt, please. A second, Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Seeing none, the person being appointed as a regular member of the Ethics Commission is Melinda Wilson. Roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes? Alderman Betancourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. Resolution is adopted, 7-0.
Number 4, relative to the appointment of regular member to Community Development Advisory Committee.
A motion, please, to bring it to the floor. Alderman Singh, second, Alderwoman Hayes. Is there discussion? Seeing none. Person being appointed is Valerie Gambrill. Roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Betancourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. Resolution adopted, 7-0.
Number 5, relative to the reappointment of a member to Uncas Health District.
A motion, please, to bring it to the floor. Alderwoman Hayes, second, Alderman Singh. Is there discussion? Seeing none, the person being reappointed is Mr. Frank J. Giacaruso Jr. A roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt? Yes. Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution adopted 7-0.
Number 6, relative to the appointment of a regular member to Dangerous Buildings Board of Review.
Thank you. Please, a motion to bring it to the floor. Alderman Mark Bettencourt, second Alderman Singh. Is there discussion? Seeing none, the person being appointed as a regular member to Dangerous Buildings Board of Review is Lacey Raymond. Roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution adopted 7-0.
Number 7, relative to the appointment of an alternate member to Personnel and Pension Committee.
Thank you. Please, a motion to bring it to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, is there a second, please? Alderman Nash, is there discussion? Seeing none, the person being appointed as an alternate member of Personnel and Pension Committee is Patrick McMahon. A roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh? Yes. President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The motion passes. Resolution adopted 7-0.
Number 8, relative to the reappointment of a regular member to Senior Affairs Commission.
Motion, please. Bring it to the floor. Alderman Singh, second. Alderman Bettencourt, is there discussion? Yes, Alderman Singh.
A quick question. So now this commission will have the minimum members which are needed to like convene their meetings?
I believe so. If membership of 5, you're saying they haven't had a quorum?
I think there was an issue with the quorum at one point with this commission.
No.
Should
No.
direct the
Not
question.
my understanding, but
They're fully,
Fully.
and he's being reappointed.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
go ahead.
Thank you.
okay, thank you very much. Again, Mr. Frank J. Giacaruso Jr. is being reappointed as a regular member to Senior Affairs. Roll call, please.
Alderman Nash? Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution adopted 7-0.
Number 9, relative to the appointment of a regular member to Inland Wetlands Watercourses and Conservation Commission.
Your motion to bring this to the floor. Alderman Singh, second Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Seeing none, the person being appointed as a regular member in the Wetlands Watercourse Conservation Commission is Dean Nason. Roll call, please.
Alderman Nash? Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould? Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia? Mayor Nystrom?
Thank you. The resolution is adopted 7-0.
Number 10, relative to city manager being authorized and directed to accept the deed of conveyance from East Great Plain Volunteer Fire Company.
A motion, please, to bring this to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second, please. Alderman Nash. Is there discussion? President Pro Tem, please.
Question is, do we have a plan for this property once the city takes possession of it?
Not at this time.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion or question? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt? Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
The resolution is adopted 7-0. Alderwoman Gould.
I hereby move pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 1-200 subsection 6 and 1-210, that the members of the Norwich City Council go into executive session to discuss written attorney-client privileged communication concerning the school building program, as well as feasibility estimates and evaluations involving the acquisition of property and construction contracts relative to the same, which transactions have not been terminated or abandoned at this time, and to discuss the acquisition or disposition of real estate or interests in real estate when publicly regarding such sales, and for acquisition or disposition of interests in the same would adversely input the price of the same. The council having determined that the public interest in holding such discussions in executive session clearly outweighs the public interest in disclosure at this time. Norwich Bond Council, Michael Andriana. City Manager, John Salamone. The Norwich Acting Superintendent of Schools, Susan Lassard. Comptroller, Josh Pothier. Deputy Comptroller, Orla McKernan. Corporation Counsel, Michael Driscoll. And Owners Representatives, James Giuliano and Michael Fienza of Construction Solutions Group, shall be asked to participate during all or portions of this executive session at the request of the council.
Thank you. Is there a second? Alderman Nash, roll call on the motion, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes? Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The motion passes 7-0 to go into executive session. Room 319, please. Come back to order. Let the record show that no votes were taken. May I have a motion, please, to return? Alderman Gould, second Alderman Singh. Roll call, please. Nash?
Yes.
Hayes? Bettencourt? Gould?
Yes.
Singh? DeLucia? Nystrom? Yes. Motion passes 7-0. Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Adjourn. Gould, seconded by Nash. Roll call, Nash.
Yes.
Hayes. Bettencourt. Gould.
Yes.
Singh.
Yes.
DeLucia. Nystrom. Thank you. Motion passes 7-0 to adjourn. Thank you.